And good morning, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, going to bring you in mere moments 8 news stories that were vetted by you as pretty cool, and then curated down for me to make sure that I only got 8 in instead of the 31 stories on Haul today. Now, we picked 8 from the top 15 stories, and I did cheat a little bit. We did have the top story of the day was the World Baseball Championship and Japan's win over USA, but that technically is like 2 days old news, so we did not have that covered. The other stories, pretty much in the range, in the realm, and very relevant, including this first one, which may shock you that you have no idea who this person is, because I have no idea who this person is, but it shows that the young and the young and the young. So stick with us for this one. In about 12 minutes or so, we'll get done with the headlines and we'll explain to you how you actually chose the stories with the vetting process on our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. You can actually see them if you're watching the video in the top corner. They're right there, so you can follow along. We also ask you to check out a little later, not while you're listening to this or watching this, things, the website for us, which is thisisaconversationproject.com, where more details going on. And yes, we will continue our fund drive, our fundraising, our pledge drive time this month. So you'll hear more of that coming in a bit. But after you get the meat, the juice, the real stuff, then if you want to kind of phase off, we understand. Let's get to the news really quickly right here, right now. Story number one, it is our headline story, our teaser graphic. Chaeyoung, I believe that's how it's said, of K-pop group Twice apologizes for wearing swastika on shirt. Now, when I first read this, I of course read it wrong, and it's like she apologized for the swastika twice, but that's not what happened. Chaeyoung is a member of Twice, a K-pop group, and she apologized for wearing a swastika on her shirt, saying she didn't realize what the symbol was. She added that she would pay absolute attention in the future to prevent a situation similar from happening again. Now, in her defense, which is not much of it, the shirt was actually a picture, demographic of Sid Vicious wearing a swastika t-shirt. So she was technically wearing a Sid Vicious shirt, trying to be hip, but there was a swastika in the middle of it because she's, like 17 or something like that. Did not quite know what was going on. Now, she's also gotten problems in the past for wearing QAnon shirts and for being a Sex Pistol fan in the first place, which is kind of odd on that one. So she's wearing the wardrobe to show her fans for Sid Vicious and Sex Pistols, but she's picking up some off-brand stuff that's not so nice and not so appropriate for the time it is right now. We hope that she will learn what's going on, and we hope that the band does fine. I have no idea who Chaeyoung is. Chaeyoung. My daughter is not quite K-pop yet, but I'm sure very soon we'll be bombarded with it over and over again. So we've been tracking for weeks, and of course came to a head on Tuesday. Yesterday, Wednesday, strike for the LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District, entered its second day with no plans on going to the bargaining table on yesterday. Third day for the planned strike is today, Thursday. No plans on returning to any bargaining. So come Friday, school should be back in session, more or less like normal, except without any actual contract in place to fix any further strikes, which means they could strike again. Now, technically, the school district or the teachers didn't strike. It's many workers around the district who did the strike, and then the teachers refused to cross the picket lines. It's been chaos for LA, who's had to find ways to basically keep up with, be a babysitter, and feed millions of students in the LA school district because for a lot of them, it's their main source of meals. It's what it is. And you can't just have a million kids wandering the streets of LA aimlessly. You could. It's not a good thing to do. 330,000 members of the SEIU Local 99 walked out on Tuesday, and they're still on the walk today. This will be day 3. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see if things go back to more or less normal come Friday, and whether they'll get back to the table very soon. So yesterday, the grand jury did not meet in New York City for the District of Manhattan. And we don't know exactly why, but something else that popped up in the case is this one. Trump attorney to testify Friday in Mar-a-Lago classified documents investigation after losing appeal. They are two separate things, but more things piling on. So we're not sure about Donald Trump, who basically duped us all and saying, I'm getting arrested on Tuesday. And that hasn't happened and probably won't happen. But another attorney is going to testify in the case of classified documents, basically saying that, Trump didn't really know what was in there, because Trump probably didn't really know what was in there. but he's going to basically classify that this lawyer in particular was kind of in the way, doing a lot of the double dealing and just keeping the folks, the feds, out of Mar-a-Lago to pick up the remaining classified documents. We're going to see how this one goes as well. Now, I got a little confused and basically reposted this story, so it's going to post again in about an hour for y'alls to look at. So we'll try not to do it again for Friday, but this is a previous version. Has been updated a little bit. Florida's so-called "Don't Say Gay" policy could be expanded into high school, and now the basic new headline says basically will be expanded into high school. Through grade 3, Florida law bars classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity. The proposed Florida Board of Education rule would expand those restrictions to grades 4 to 12, which would mean in the Florida school districts, the state of Florida, you can't talk about sexual orientation. Like, period. It says no instruction, but essentially if a kid brings it up and you kind of answer a question, you're breaking the law. The law was dubbed "Don't Say Gay" by its critics, who said it would make it impossible to teach about LGBTQ identifications, which technically it does. Although, to its point, why are you teaching this in class if it's a actual class? And to the other point, if someone is going through something and they need some counseling, you need to talk about it. I mean, teenagers especially, that's the time to figure these things out. So if there's a case, and trust me, teenagers know that they're gay. They know this already. Not talking about it does not fix the fact that they're gay. You can't really fix that. It kind of is. And you got to have to deal with that. DirecTV reaches deal to distribute right-wing network Newsmax after a long dispute. DirecTV watchers rejoice or get angry again. I'm not sure what they should go with this one. Newsmax is back on DirecTV. There's been a very, very long dispute over rights fees and coverage fees, and essentially Newsmax making its keep being worth being on its stations, being worth being on its platform. Newsmax has been pushing to receive fees from DirecTV, but the TV network relied on advertising revenue, and so essentially they're not making enough money to stay on DirecTV, and they went back and forth. Throughout the dispute, DirecTV said blackouts were a common occurrence in pay TV industry, and consumers were often caught in the middle of it. But guess what? They're back. If you were missing Newsmax and watching DirecTV, it's back. If you weren't missing Newsmax and watching DirecTV, still back. Can't do much about that. Still back. Creators protest potential TikTok ban in DC. One more time. Creators protest potential TikTok ban in DC. Many of creator on the internet using the TikTok platform to be internet famous went walking up and down the streets of Washington, D.C. and questioning the potential ban of the actual app. Now, we did post in today where we will have the CEO of TikTok speaking before Congress, taking his grilling, as they say. But what's at the heart here is not the fact that it's a waste of time and sucks all your brain power. It's the fact that it's sucking up your information, your data. Quick sidebar: had a conversation with a coworker as we're working on some website videos about trying to get images off the internet and how you can technically steal them, because he was having issues downwriting copyrighted images that he said he needed for these videos. They were internal videos to do whatever, so it wasn't a big deal. And so I said, well, what you have to do when you try to copy it or save it, it won't save it because there's copyrighted material. There's the metadata in there. You do a screen grab of it, chop it up, clip down, and then there's no data into it except for where you pulled it from. And he basically said, well, that's kind of dumb. If you can just steal stuff like that, why is it there? And unfortunately, that ended the conversation because I just didn't have the wherewithal to really go further into that. But this is essentially what's happening here. It's not the fact that it's the content that's an issue. It's not the fact that people are wasting a lot of time on it, because every time I go there, it seems like a waste of time. Yet I still post there because it's a popular platform and you can get some reaction from that. Just I'm not getting all these weird videos that people are saying. All I'm getting are people doing filters and funky dances, which I guess is what I'm into. It's the data that's being collected and that is technically owned by the Chinese government. All apps, all programs, all companies that operate out of China are by law required to hand over data that they have from their sellers if they ask for it. China has not asked for it. The CEO of ByteDance and TikTok lived in Singapore, so technically there's that little shift there. But if the Chinese Communist government, and I said it that way on purpose, decided they wanted all the metadata from your TikTok, they can ask for it. They'd have to hand it over. We will see how this plays out. But meanwhile, many content creators went marching in the streets of D.C. to protest the potential ban of the platform. Season change. Our love runs cold, and Post Malone found a way to settle his Circle's copyright suit in a last-minute deal. Post Malone has settled copyright suit from a musician who claimed he co-wrote the keyboard chords and the guitar melody for the 2019 hit Circles, but was denied credit and compensation. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, but it is done. He was first offered a percent share of publishing royalties, but did not want that, and so he sued for a bigger cut. He now has a bigger cut. Thank you so much, because Post Malone, while I can, can't really pick out any of the songs, off of a playlist. The ones I do hear, like Circles, ones I do recognize, are fairly poppy. And he's a freaky looking guy with all them tattoos. I just got to say that. Meanwhile, in Florida, armed Florida man in devil mask is stopped by heroic strip club security guards. Oddly enough, we pulled this story, although it's a pretty big national headline. We pulled it from Fox News and their accounting of it, which is kind of hilarious, if you will. Michael Rudman, 44, was wearing a red and black devil mask and riding on his arms. He arrived at the venue in a silver pickup truck. Security guard thought Rudman was playing a prank on him and didn't say a word, but then he came right up to him and raised his hand and pointed a gun at him. The security guard grabbed the gun. Name was Rudman, and had a little fight, scuffled back and forth. Security guards who disarmed the suspect saved dozens of lives because it could have been a big deal, and police were able to take them into custody. Take him. That's Mr. Rudman. I got the names confused. So Resto is the guard. Rudman is the devil man, and the devil man got stopped by the guards. All are safe. Police say that Rudman's motive for Sunday's incident is still unknown, but he had an extensive arrest history. Basically, he was crazy and ready to just do some damage last weekend. Let's move on to our teaser story of the morning. This is a story that we could talk about tomorrow. We could talk about it tomorrow, if you tell me this is a story worth to chat about. Go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This is a Conversation Project and Twitter.com/TH_conversation. Engage in the stories. That means you can like it, you can love it, you can hate it, you can share it, you must read it to know what's going on, because it's a pretty big deal. As we said, Congress to grill TikTok CEO owner over data privacy concerns and safety of users. If I would have basically, full screen that, I could have read that better. But as we said, we're posting this story on the actual CEO of TikTok going before Congress to chat it up. Maybe throw out his phone, do some selfies, see what's going on, do some filters. We'll see how that plays out. Probably not some filters. Klobuchar would probably like to do some filters. Tom Cotton, probably not so much. We'll see if this is worth talking about, if you tell me it's worth talking about. If you make this story in the top 15 of the stories of the past next 30 hours, we will probably pull that from the top 8. Now, like I said, we'll pull 8 from top 15, so this one has to be kind of significant. If there's something else out there that's a bit more interesting based on what I can glean, this one may not make it. But to make it in there, you've got to engage with the story and let me know this is one you want to get into the queue, just like that. Let's talk about our sponsors. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/sponsors. Visit a full listing of our show sponsors and some other sponsors we have as well, affiliate links we have for just to keep us going. This one today we're highlighting is Zenni Optical, Zenni. You can find them using our affiliate link at thisisaconversationproject.com/Zenni. Now, what does this bring to you? It brings you great glasses, and great glasses at great prices. It's pretty simple. You get a good pair of frames, a good pair of lenses, and a great price for those things. by going to Zenni Optical. They take care of me. They take care of my wife. We're going to get my daughter her first pair of glasses fairly soon. We sort of delayed it, and it's probably something we should have done back before Christmas. We'll get her glasses. She wanted some cheetah print glasses back when she looked. She'll probably change her mind and want something more more gothic now. You know, just a 10-year-old gothic kid as she is. But she can pick her own glasses by just looking through what they have in store. They're beautiful glasses. They're great-looking glasses. And they're not going to cost me a lot of money, which is the important part. Check them out for yourself at thisistheconversationproject.com/Zenni. This is theconversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni. Zenni Optical will take good care of you. Been taking great care of me and my same boring pair of glasses for 10 years. You should take them up on their own as well. Let's talk about the Conversation Project, because that's who we are. The Conversation Project lives at thisistheconversationproject.com. We provide for you 5 days a week this thing here, which is Things You Might Have Heard. It is a video going live as I speak these words. It goes rebroadcast or reprocessed through the YouTube platform and the Facebook platform as well, and the Twitter platform as well. And we trim it up a little bit, clean up the audio, and put it in for a audio podcast, which comes out about 10 minutes after we're done recording. It takes a little time for it to get uploaded and the feeds. So check that out. Find it wherever you love your podcast, or just go to our website and find it there. Now, what we're looking for in this month, as the days are slowly coming to an end, is a influx of cash. Basically, we're trying to secure $200 of reoccurring income, new reoccurring income, I should say, by the end of this month. And we are getting there. We're getting close, and we're not asking for lots of money, which is why it's not like, oh my God, $200, that's not much. It's not much, but we're asking for it in 5s and 10s and 15s, essentially. If you think we're providing for you pretty good content, decent content that's worth sharing for others, content that has value, we want you to help us provide more value for people wanting the content. We need to pay in a couple folks. I have two guys or a guy and a gal, to be honest, two people who I want to help pay to help with some editing and some copywriting and some things like that, plus some gear and some software we want to get in a couple months to help flesh out things and upgrade the studio, get a little bigger background, if you will. So if you're thinking that we're doing it good enough for that, you can go by our partnerships page. You can go to our sponsors and visit any of our sponsors, and we get an affiliate cut from that one. You should, and we really need you to stop by our feeds, because that's what keeps things going. If you're at the feeds, you're doing the main job and giving us things to have the conversations with. It's not a conversation without your engagement, but so you go there as well. But we can use some financial support. Stop by our partnerships page and see if you can't do something reoccurring. If it's a one-time thing, we'll take that. We won't complain about that. But we're looking to contain $200 of reoccurring income going forward, extra income going forward. If you want to help us out with that, we would be appreciative. And it also helps us do the fun stuff, because you have to actually, oddly enough, I have to pay for a list of birthdays, because otherwise the birthday lists that are out there are not exactly good, to be honest, because some rando like me is out there putting them out there for free. So I have to pay somebody for some. They also give me some news information, so I pay for a service that gives me some of my stories and my kicker stories, things like that. So let's start with the fun stuff for today. Today, things beginning with March 23rd birthdays. Happy birthday to Chaka Khan, turning 70 years old on the day for Chaka Khan. Richard Grieco, 58 years old, basically famous for playing Booker, who, of course, came in as a character on 21 Jump Street, destroying the show, if you will. He is 58 years old today, and I have no idea what he's done since 21 Jump Street and Booker, the spinoff, which killed that show. Loved that show. Of course, had a big crush on Holly Robinson Pete. Still have a big crush on Holly Robinson Pete. Of course, he was just Robinson first. Kind of hate Rodney Pete because of that. But this is not about her or me or him. It's about Richard Grieco, who's 58 years old on the day. And Felicity, one of the Americans. Carrie Russell is 47 years old today, and if that doesn't make you feel a little bit aged, then maybe you're younger than 47 years old, and maybe don't remember the phenomena that was Felicity. People freaked out when she changed her hair, and that basically symbolized the show was ending, because she changed her hair from the wavy to the straight, and people were like, oh my God, what's happening? Because we were like that back then. It was not CW, it was UPN, not UPN, WB. the WB. If you can't remember the WB, then you don't understand the pain and the sorrow brought on by Carrie Russell changing her hair for Felicity. In the meantime, happy birthday to her. Doing great stuff now at 47 years old today. We split the celebration to its own slide. So happy Celebration Day. March 23rd celebration is Chip and Dip Day. So you know what to do. Get some chips. Get some dip. Dip your chips in the dip. Have a good day. That's simple. You can't mess this one up. You cannot mess this one up. Today in history, in 1806, explorers Lewis and Clark, having reached the Pacific Ocean, began the journey back east. So they finished their trek to the west, and so then it was back to the east. Started on this day in 1806. 1942, during World War II, the U.S. government began moving Japanese Americans from their West Coast homes to detention centers. This is one of the pretty big blights in American history. Although to a certain segment of people, obviously at the time, it seemed like the best way to ensure the safety of the folks, because they didn't really know what was happening and didn't know if any of the Japanese Americans were going to essentially jihad, for lack of a better word, here in the States. As it turns out, there are people here now this time who thinks we should do something like this again because, you know, racism. And in 1998, the movie Titanic won 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Song. You're here. Yep, that song. To tie the record set by 1959's Ben-Hur, which I don't think won Best Song. The record was tied again by Lord of the Rings, Return of the King in 2003, but not on this day. Titanic winning all the awards. I can't remember what Everything Everywhere All at Once, how many they won. They may have won 11 awards. No, they didn't win 11. They were nominated for 11 and won 7. That's what happened. So not quite on that level. That movie, apparently awesome. Titanic, if you haven't seen it, the ship sinks. Sorry, you should have seen it by now. 1998, yo. And one more thing you might not have heard. We're drinking like there's going to be no tomorrow. According to the National Center for Drug Abuse Statistics, 24% of people 18 and older reported binge drinking in the last 30 days. I believe that's a lie. Binge drinking is a pattern of alcohol consumption that involves consuming large amounts of alcohol in short periods with intent of becoming intoxicated. Now, I am much older and I am an infrequent drinker now, so I can't say I'm a person who would be lying about binge drinking, because I literally drink like a beer and a half every 3 weeks or something. And mostly it's cooking with wine or cooking with beer. But I would say 24%, although they did the survey, is a tad low. I would believe it'd be more closer to 30% or maybe even a 35%. However, I'm going to go with the details I've given here. They say a quarter of us Americans are binge drinkers and drinking too much. Is that too much? Well, if you can hold it, you can control it, and you save it in special occasions, then I guess it's fine. If you're not, then you need to talk to somebody about it, which is why I believe that number is probably a little higher, because some people probably didn't want to tell the truth. That's my opinion on it. And with that, we're done. Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard. Some of them you may have heard of. Some of them might have been slightly in the back of your head, but most of them we're pretty sure were just sort of not out there. We're pretty sure the thing about the Swastika shirt, you had no idea what was going on with that one, because, like I said, I have no idea who these bands are, who these K-pop people are, but I'm sure my daughter is going to fix that fairly soon. In the meantime, make sure you're staying hydrated, staying limber, and staying on task for dealing with the K-pop invasion, and just being a great person, because you're all great people, which is 100% the thing. Stop by our website and click on the partnerships link and see if there's a way that we can hook up to work together on keeping these things going. And follow the feeds and make sure that you are engaging in stories to tell us what I'm going to talk about in the next coming days. One more day to wrap up the week. On Friday, we'll give you 8 stories from the past 30 hours or so that were the tops per se, just like that. So let's do it one more day. Thank you so much for being with us here on the program.